taking the online race broadcast performance to the next level. This is the Full Velocity Network.
And the Sonic Boom of Sound Wave and the Big Maximum Impact Showcase is live. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the ultimate esport experience known as the Full Velocity Network, live tonight at the Richmond International Raceway. Paying a visit over to our friends at the Full Throttle Sim Racing League. Double points championship night here at Richmond for 150 laps around the 3/4 mile action track. Phil LaCasse here, along with my partners, Too Tall Todd Stanton and Joe Allen down at the booth for us, as always, at the controls for FVN. And man, Todd, short track racing here in the super late models. We were here 1 week ago, and we get back out here to FTSR tonight. Championship night and double points night, something you're very familiar with. It just makes for a better atmosphere, and it's championship night. You can't ask for anything better.
Yeah, definitely can't ask for anything better. We're here at the Richmond International Raceway. Another short track here. Short track racing at its finest. A little bit bigger short track than we were at last week. A little bit longer sweeping corners, I should say. And it's going to be an interesting race here tonight. Double points on the line. Something that I am indeed accustomed to here in the dirt racing community all around my area. Double points mean for some good things if you're down in those points.
Oh, absolutely right. Looks like 3 drivers tonight going to come in with title hopes, that being our point leader, Royce Scavano, also Brody Hanna, who lost a point lead coming into last week's race at Stafford. He's second in the standings, and Brandon Elder, those 3 drivers championship eligible. Not sure Brandon is able to answer the bell here tonight. So Joe Allen looking up and down the standings. I see Royce is here. I see Brody is here. So 2 of the 3 guys racing for a championship in the field there in this 10-car field, and 150 laps in Richmond. It's going to go fast, and anytime we come out here and see these guys at Full Throttle with these super late models, it's always one action-packed, really fast show, and I expect nothing different.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. These guys come out here, and, as we've kind of covered, they don't have the biggest league. They were traditionally an NR 2003 league for years and years and years, just getting started on the iRacing stables, but guys like John Adams out there, a former DWC driver who has called FTSR home for years and years and years, is making the appearance tonight. And, the normal points guys are out there. Brody's out there. Adam Edwards. We've seen Michael Blackner in all the races. Adam Mattox was there last week. Paul Strickland, as always. Royce. So it looks like, as you said, just missing Brandon Elder. But, so we still got a tight battle for points here tonight. Double points night, championship finale at Richmond before they get a new venture going next week, which will also be fun to go and be a part of with those guys. So, I'm excited tonight. It's Richmond. We got some heavy hitters out there. It's certainly going to be a fun one, and I know these guys are going to put on a good show. I believe we went caution-free last week as well, so a lot of high expectations coming into tonight's event.
Oh, absolutely. Did go caution-free last week at the Stafford Motor Speedway. Will these guys do that again for 150 laps around the Richmond International Raceway tonight? We're about to find out and see. The grid, I believe, is in qualifying mode, so we'll see qualifying times going up on the screen. We'll update while that's going on, but 10 drivers have come to the bell here tonight at Richmond. Looks like 9 of those 10 drivers have elected to take time, and as Joe said, John Adams, who he said stepped away from iRacing for a couple of years, Todd, he clocks in tonight on the pole with a lap of 20.39. He's bested Adam Maddox of a 94. Adam ran at 20.567, so you're looking at over 0.2 of a second. That is hauling the mail here at Richmond.
Yeah, definitely fast here at Richmond, and John Adams taking a little bit of an extended absence from iRacing stable, so it's interesting to see him back out on the pole, as Joe was saying here earlier in the night when we first got here, that John Adams was always fast there to begin with, and now atop the leaderboard. That's great to see. Also, you got Roy Scavano. He's running in that 3rd spot, so these guys are going to put one whale of a show on. They have each and every week that we have came here. There's been 2 weeks prior that we've came and broadcasted for the Full Throttle guys over here. It's been great.
Oh, it certainly has. Brody Hanna and all the guys over here at FTSR do an awesome job. Find this great league, iRacing Group League, looking to start up here. You know, the super late models. Next week, they start off their brand new truck series at Talladega. FTSR.net is how you find this great league. Get a hold of these guys, finding them in iRacing, join their league, and a great bunch of guys here do a lot of great racing like you're going to see here, like we've seen here 2 times before. And we're thrilled to be back over here to FTSR tonight. Anytime we come over to Joe Allen's old original home, it's always a good time. But what do you say, Todd? Believe we're about ready to go trackside, so I'll let you do the honors this evening.
Definitely about ready to go trackside here. Just waiting to see what's going to happen here, and just waiting to see what's going to happen with this lineup and everything that's going to happen. But I'm going to throw it down for the playing of our national anthem.
And the national anthem to get us started here live tonight on the Full Velocity Network. Championship night for the FTSR Super Late Model Series. This field getting ready to take the grid for 150 laps around the 3/4 mile action track known as the Richmond International Raceway, and a lightning fast field. You know, some new names for us here we've never seen here live on FVN before, and some familiar faces here to FTSR, Todd. So what do you say? Maybe a 10-car field. Let's go. Let's throw it down there and do our full field starting lineup.
And now our starting lineup for the Full Throttle Sim Racing Richmond Raceway 150. Starting on the pole, driving the number 84, that's John Adams, timing in with a 20.390. His dancing partner to the outside, driving the number 94, that's Adam Maddox.
Rolling off tonight from the position number 3, our point leader coming into the evening off the strength of 5 victories this season. Aboard car number 76, that is Royce Scavano, and to his outside, aboard car number 92, new name for us here at FVN, that's David Knowles.
Another new name to us here at FBN, the number 91, that's Jerry Stone. Outside of him, driving the number 62, that Bojangles sponsored machine. Bright yellow out there on the speedway, that's Brody Hanna.
Row number 4, we find the number 16, heavy hitter here. That'd be the 16 of Adam Edwards, and to his outside, aboard car number 22. We've seen him win the first time we came to FTSR. That is Michael Blackner.
And the last row here, the number 4 of Richard Dempsey. And outside of him, with a lightning quick time of 4 minutes, 9 seconds, Paul Strickland Jr. tailing this field in that number 6 machine.
Lightning fast time. I love that. Paul, of course, not doing that. Fly off the steel cage this week, so to see how he can do there. Deep in the field, a 4-minute lap. You got to hope he's got more than that under the hood tonight. For 150 circuits around, lights will go off atop the iRacing pace car this time around. So one more time around, and we'll put these guys under the green flag. And I said, it's Richmond. You know, unlike last week, Stafford, the flat half mile, well, Richmond, a little bit more banking than Stafford, 3/4 mile track, tremendously high rates of speed, and these guys have definitely put on one whale of a show for us. So strap in, buckle in. It's the ultimate esport experience known as the Full Velocity Network. What do you think, Todd? The field in the backstretch. What do you think the approach is for guys like John Adams, our pulse that are off these opening laps? This is get in it and try to drive away and hope you can get that maybe to that first pit stop, you know, about halfway point.
Oh, hopefully that's what they're going to do here. John Adams making his first appearance in a very, very long time. I'm intrigued to see what he's going to be able to do. You got the 94 on the outside. He's been on the Full Velocity Network before. He showed up pretty good, Adam Maddox, in that number 94 machine, so it's going to be interesting. These guys put the loud pedal down off of turn number 4. Green flags in the air. And look at John Adams off to a whale of a start. 2 car lengths already down into turn 1.
Yeah, 2 car lengths there. Maddox will fall back now to the outside lane. Roy Scavano, the 76, with the benefit of starting on the inside lane, second car in line. He'll have that preferred groove off to number 2 into the backstretch, and now as they sweep through 3 and 4, move Roy Scavano, the Rocket Man. He's up to that second spot. Maddox fighting back on the outside. They're going to be side by side for the runner-up spot in turn 1.
Maddox is not going away. That number 94 machine finally does give the second place position to the number 76 machine of Roy Scrivano. Scrivano moves into that second spot. Third still is Adam Maddox in that number 94. He's clinging on to that as now David Knowles, another newcomer here to the Full Velocity Network, is now running in that fourth spot. He's all over the rear bumper of Adam Maddox here for that third spot.
Yeah, all over the back bumper off the back stretch toward turn number 3 now. Maddox running in that third spot, but he's got a miracle, as you said, of Knowles there in that fourth spot. Brody Hanna, the 62, he's starting to creep into the picture as well. That may be a 5-car race, ultimately here in a couple of laps of that second spot. But, man, look at the run that John Adams has off of turn number 2. He's got that up to about 10 car lengths, and he's extending that lead more and more. That's up to about 12 car lengths, 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, John Adams indeed checked out on the whole field here, and hopefully he's trying to get out there as quickly as he can, and hopefully he's conserving his tires at the same time as John Adams in that number 84 machine, just logging laps, clicking them off here. As we're already on lap number 5 here at the Richmond International Raceway with John Adams the leader, Roy Scavano about 10 to 12 car lengths behind him in that number 76 machine. Adam Maddox running in third. Fourth right now is David Knowles. Knowles trying to do everything he can to get around that number 94 of Adam Maddox. Not able to do it so far. Number 16 of Adam Edwards is sitting in the 7th spot as we skip over the number 62 of Brody Hanna. Brody Hanna running in 5th. 6th is Jerry Stone. 7th is Adam Edwards. Adam Edwards had a good run there, Phil. So keep your eye out on him. He comes on late in that number 16 machine.
Yeah, one, quick, small update here from pit road. Looks like Paul Strickland has brought that number 6 machine onto pit road, and sure if there was issues there or not, but we saw Paul was having some awful issues in qualifying. Looks like maybe some motor issues there. So the 6th car on pit road looks like Paul Strickland once again, Todd, unfortunately not going to be a factor here through these opening laps.
Yeah, Paul Strickland Jr. definitely having a tough go over here on the Full Velocity Network. I'm sure he's looking at it and like, man, these guys come around. Every time these guys come around, they see us and they see how bad I'm doing here on the short track. Paul Strickland Jr., no stranger to the racing community at all. So it's very, very unlike Paul to see him down on pit road like this early.
Yeah, it certainly is. Good race going on for about that 4th spot there. David Knowles has it, but Brody Hanna, that Bojangles number 62, he's got a whole lot of pressure applied to the back bumper of that number 92 machine. Look at Brody. He's going to swing the 62 to the low side. They're going to be side by side through 3 and 4. That's racing to third off the exit of the corner.
Yeah, Brody Hanna not able to pull the pass off there momentarily, but Hanna still got that preferred groove down on the bottom side. Now finally able to outbrake him down into the corner. Now the number 61 machine, or 91 machine of Jerry Stone able to get down below Knowles also for that 5th spot. So put Knowles to 5th, put Brody Hanna to 4th.
Yeah, Brody Hanna to 4th. Jerry Stone now with that pass of the David Knowles machine. Moved Jerry Stone now, I believe, up to that 5th position there as they work their way through number 3 and 4. We have a dozen laps up on the board, 150 with distance here tonight. But I'm just staggered by the race leader, John Adams. I know Joe talked about earlier, Todd, a veteran of iRacing, took a couple of years off, came out here tonight with a lightning fast lap. And, what we know of Royce Scavano, a 5-time winner in this series this year, you expect a guy like Royce to be up there contending for the lead, but John Adams has that advantage to over 1.5 seconds already. I'm absolutely impressed by the 84 car.
Yeah, definitely impressed with that number 84 car. I know Joe has to have a little insight on that John Adams guy. Joe, what do you know about him?
John Adams ain't no slouch, guys. I've known John since 2007, back in his NR 2003 days, and he made the big switch over to iRacing years and years ago when it became the place to be, and he kind of hit the ground running with it. He's participated in a couple of the Landing Castle qualifying challenges. He does he is recorded as a winner in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. He was a DWC driver, and he's taking some time off, but, he's showing coming back now that he's more than capable of coming out here and picking up right where he left off. Came out here, qualified on the pole, guys, and you can see the dominance that he's out there. He's making a guy like Royce Scrivano just, kind of scratch his head. Royce has kind of come out here and put a spanking on this field for most of their super late model season. So this is some refreshing competition for Royce. And luckily with these open setups, these guys will have some time to continue to adjust on these things. But it's good to see John back in the iRacing world. He's been out doing his thing and enjoying life to the fullest. So it's good to see with him. And I'm sure I'll catch up with him after the race as well and, shoot the shit just a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. And just talking about those credentials, if he's been around the Landon Castle qualifying challenge or a Peak Antifreeze Series, a DWC driver, obviously those credentials speak for themselves when it comes to iRacing. So that all being said, no surprise at all to see the 84 out front. Also, no surprise, Todd, to see the 62 of Brody Hanna marching forward. About a lap and a half ago, he was able to go to the low side of Adam Maddox's machine. So move Brody Hanna up to third. And if he's going to chase Royce Scrivano for a championship, he's going to have to, march his way forward as he's got to contend with Royce. Not only is he going to catch him and pass him, he's going to hope for the 76 to have some trouble here. It is double points night, but, man, you got to hope to not only get by him, but you got to have positions between them.
Yeah, but Brody did clock the outside wall just a little bit. You see a lot of right fender damage on that number 62 machine, so hopefully he didn't knock the toe out on that number 62 of his setup. So right now, Brody Hanna running in that third spot, being pretty consistent there in that 62 machine, and it looks like he's coming on a little bit later in the run. This is about mid to a little bit what I call later in the run. It's not like you're going the first 10 laps of the event and just going like a ball of fire and just running off laps, and that's usually when your tires wear off rather quickly. Brody Hanna knows how to conserve his tires just a little bit. He's able to run the bottom, able to roll into the corner. And Richmond International Raceway is one of those rhythm tracks there, Phil. You don't really want it. Once you get into your rhythm, you don't really want to see a yellow.
Oh, absolutely not. Richmond's one of those sensitive places. You got to just hit. I mean, both corners set up completely different. You got to drive them completely different. So rhythm is absolutely that. And another guy I see really starting to hit that rhythm and start to march positions forward. How about the number 22 of Michael Blackner? No stranger to us at all. No stranger to victory lane in this series. He's starting to march his way forward. He's underneath the 91 of Jerry Stone. Michael Blackner, Todd, he's charging his way up into the top five, having a good run. Started a little bit deeper in this field, about the 8th position, but that 22 starting to pick off positions forward and looks like one of the more consistent cars on the racetrack 22 laps in.
Yeah, Michael Blackner running inside the top 5, like you said. He just made a pass for that 5th position. So keep your eye out on Michael Blackner as he's starting to chase down that number 94 machine of Adam Maddox. So about a car length and a half between himself and Maddox. So he's able to run the bottom where Maddox is starting to drift up the tracks. The car's starting to push a little bit. It makes you wonder if Maddox ran off his tires. Coming off the corner, he gets a little bit sideways, does Maddox. Here comes Blackner down to the bottom side, and look at him just stick that car, all 4 tires, down on the bottom, right next to that yellow line. Able to get around Adam Blackner with ease, even down the back straightaways. Blackner is able to put up just a little bit of a fight, but he's just going to go away. Here comes Jerry Stone now down to the bottom side, also in that number 91 machine. He's not able to get around the 94 quite yet, but look for Jerry Stone to be able to get around the 94 too. I believe his tires are gone.
Yeah, you can see the 94 not able to hug that bottom line, which was more like be the preferred way around the Richmond International Raceway. So the 94 looks like being up stuck in the high lane. If you see, he's got no traffic behind him. Jerry Stone is there with about 2 car lengths between. The 94 just cannot hug that yellow line. He washes up the racetrack, and that's going to open the door. The 91 is there. He's to his inside. We get a battle for that 5th spot, Todd, off of turn 2.
That 91 is going to be able to complete that pass. He's going to put himself in, I believe, that 5th spot in that number 91 machine. It might be his 6th spot for the 91. We'll just wait and see what timing and scoring resets. Watching Richard Dempsey, he went down 1 lap to the leaders just moments ago. So it's good to see some of these different guys out there here tonight. And like you said, top 5 for Jerry Stone now. He's indeed in that 5th position in that number 91 machine. So, but Adam Maddox back to 6th. He had a good qualifying run, like I said. I just think he ran his tires off rather quickly.
It certainly appears to be so. Looks like Brody Hanna may have, run his off a little bit too. You talked about he made some contact with the outside wall, and he has a mirror full of Michael Black, number 22. Michael is there, hasn't quite made that, bold move to the inside as they hit the backstretch, but as they go into turn 3, Brody dives it down deep into the corner, hugging that yellow line, going to keep that 22 from having that really good run down that, D-shaped front straightaway that makes up here at Richmond. But as they hit turn number 1, you got to get hard on the brakes. You see the 62 slide up the racetrack. Here comes Michael Blackner. They're going to be side-by-side drag racing for the 3rd spot down the backstretch.
Yeah, Blackner down to the bottom side. He's going to be able to get around the number 62 of Brody Hanna with ease here and move himself into that 3rd spot. Is Blackner going to be able to chase down these top 2 guys? John Adams has been on a tear. He's a man on the mission. And I'm just looking at some of these lap times. We're going to take a look at Brody Hanna's last lap was a 22.120. We're going to look at Michael Blackner, 21.755, so that's pretty quick. And then we go to Roy Scrivano, 21.660, so he's a tad faster than Michael Blackner still in that number 76 machine. And then you go up to John Adams, 22.017. He's a little bit off there in that number 84 machine.
A little bit off, but still plenty fast. Is a pretty healthy advantage over the number 76 of Roy Scrivano. That advantage was up to 1.7 seconds. It is now down to 1.4. So John's starting to burn that goodie off of his stuff. Roy Scrivano starting to chase that interval down a little bit. Also good race going on back there between Brody Hanna, Michael Blackner. Number 22 looks like may have gotten to the outside wall. He lost at least one position to Brody Hanna. They got lap traffic up there, but Michael Blackner now with that contact, he may have some damage to that right front tire.
Yeah, it looks like some damage to the right side of that 22 of Michael Blackner. See the fender peeled up over top, almost looking like an open wheel car is the number 22. Same for the 62. It looks like they have open wheel style right fronts as the fender is smashed in pretty good, pretty heavy damage up there. So hopefully, what you got to start to think is hopefully it did not knock the toe off those cars. It will make them really ill handling here at Richmond.
No, it certainly does that. Just looking just deeper back in the field, seeing some good racing going on. Guys have definitely, run off their tires. A lap car, Richard Dempsey's in there, but you find the 94 of Adam Maddox to the low side of the lap car. Jerry Stone also right there. Also David Knowles, guy who started up inside the top 5. Those 3 cars basically all under a blanket racing back there for that 5th position. They're in turns number 3 and 4. That's probably the best race we have on the racetrack. Those guys all right there nip and tuck as these tires start to wear off a little bit. The 91 gets into the outside wall. He gets really kind of squirrely. That's going to allow David Knowles into the picture, but same story as we saw with the 94, Todd. Those tires really hot. These guys can't hug the bottom like they could through these opening laps, as now we have 36 up on the board. Still a lot of racing left to go. You got to think how many more laps you think these guys can go out there and make on these set of tires. You got to imagine you want to make this stop maybe a one-stop race.
Yeah, definitely one of those things you want to see what's going to happen is Roy Scrivano has been running down John Adams, now down to .045. It did go up just a tad bit there as John Adams was a tad bit quicker the last lap, but we're going to wait and see what happens this time around. Like you said, John Adams was 1.045. Let's see what he is, 1.029. So Scrivano is indeed catching him, but really slow right now.
Well, it's creeping down a little bit more and a little bit more. It was down to 1.2. It's starting to get down to car lengths there. It was about, 20 to 25 here about 10 laps ago. It's down to about 8 to 10 car lengths as they work their way down the front stretch. Roy's starting to just gain that interval in. It was about an even 1 second, 2 laps ago. It's even further down now. It's, about a second even, 1.006. So it's a little bit more, about a car length a lap he's clicking off. So with 39 on the board, Roy Scrivano starting to chase down John Adams, who we know had the fastest car here. It shows the strength of these setups over the long run.
Yeah, it definitely shows the strength of the setups. Now down to .860 for Roy Scrivano in that second spot in that number 76 machine. So he's indeed, like you said, he's down about 6-7 car lengths to the leader of the 84 of John Adams. He's trying to be able to do that. It's another 6 seconds back to Brody Hanna in that number 62 machine. Then it's another 7 seconds back to Michael Blackner. So these guys are pretty much spread out all over the Richmond International Raceway. Paul Strickland Jr. behind the wall. He's ended the night here tonight. Richard Dempsey down 1 lap. Right now we have 8 of the 10 cars left on the lead lap.
Yeah, 8 of the 10 drivers who made the bell, 9 left on the racetrack. But as Todd said, 8 of those drivers on the lead lap, and those top 2 have really laid waste to the field here through the opening, 1/3 of this race. 40 laps up on the board. John Adams, our pole sitter, he drove away from this field in the first 25 laps, but now you have a very, very game point leader, the number 76 of Royce Scavano. 5 victories this season for Royce in this series, if you can believe that. The stout winning percentage he has coming in, but he's chased that, all the way down. Now it's about 3 car lengths, Todd. It is closing, maybe about a lap or 2, maybe 3. We're going to maybe see a lead changes down the back straightaway. It's down to 3 car lengths toward turn 3.
Yeah, down to 3 car lengths between John Adams and Royce Scrivano. Those guys hot and heavy here. As Scrivano is indeed faster each and every lap. Last time by it was .439. This time by it's .372. Down to about 2.5 car lengths between the 84 and the 76 of Scrivano. This is going to be one amazing battle, I believe, there, Phil. I don't think John Adams is going to go away, and he's not going to give it to Royce Scrivano that easy either.
You're not going to give it up that easy, but knowing you burn your tires off a little bit, you can see the 84 just trying to hold that bottom line, and he can't. And he's going to pull right over. He'll surrender the lead to Royce Scavano. But how helpless of a feeling is that there, Todd? Knowing that you have that car chasing you down from behind, he saved a little bit tire. It's almost a helpless feeling now as you see John charging back to the outside. Is that a wise move for him right now, knowing that Royce has run him down all that time on the racetrack and almost made quick work of a pass there? John's going to have to surrender that position. But what do you think he's feeling from the driver's seat right now? It's got to be pretty helpless knowing that Royce had such a good car through this long run.
Yeah, it's got to be going through his mind just a little bit as he was trying to battle back on the high side in that number 84 machine, not able to do so. But again, he's right to the rear bumper of Scrivano, giving him a bumper tap down the front straightaway. A little bit of love showing from John Adams to Royce Scrivano, just a little bit. Like I said, love tap, I'm going to call it here, the Richmond International Raceway, between John Adams and the 76 of Scrivano. So that was an interesting move. I think the 84 is still just as quick as the 76, maybe just starting to save his tires just a little bit.
Saving his tires a little bit, but Joe thinking these guys are probably going to set up for a pit stop right around the halfway mark. Knowing that John had that really good car in the short burst, and now Royce knowing he's got the better car in the long run, what kind of things do you think these guys can build in as far as adjustability with these setups? It's open setup, mind you. So what kind of things do you think John can do to maybe, make his car better over the long course of a run?
Well, as the tires continue to burn off, the car is going to get tighter, so he could try to make a couple track bar adjustments, maybe a spring adjustment, maybe even an air pressure adjustment, just to try and help with the drivability over the long run. But at the same time, it's also more of a driver adjustment as well. Knowing how far he was able to get out there, and knowing that it took approximately 40 laps before Royce was able to drive and get back to him, John may be able to go out there and adjust the driving style and maybe conserve himself a little bit earlier on in the run to kind of give himself that longevity towards the end of the run there. But there's a lot of adjustments he can make between track bar adjustments, maybe a wedge adjustment here or there. You can even mess with downforce adjustments with tape that you can put on it. So there's a lot of things that they can do, communicating with their crew chiefs and whatnot on it as far as what adjustments may need to be made. As we see Royce starting to pull out just over half a second now. So John probably going to try to do some work to that setup, and I'm sure Royce is probably going to do a little bit as well to try to help with his short run speed as well. So depending on what type of adjustments these guys make could really determine what the what the end of this race is going to look like.
Yeah, and just looking out, one of those guys who did come to pit road already and come to make some early adjustments was a little bit off the pace. The 16 of Adam Edwards, Todd, came in. He got 4 fresh tires on that Fanatec machine, maybe made a quick adjustment. He is 2 laps down, but if you look out there and compare his lap times to what our current race leaders are doing, that 16 clearly the fastest car on the racetrack. He is whipping around Richmond with those fresh tires.
And he's going to do so there with the number 16 machine, and like you said, it's like a 21.5. But these guys are still in the high 21s to low 22s. So looking at John Adams come off that corner, that was awful. That was a handful there for that number 84 machine. He was all kinds of out of shape with John Adams. Those tires are just not there. The rear grip's not there. The forward bite's not there. That's a helpless feeling in itself.
Oh, it certainly is. It's updating back toward our race for the third spot. Brody Hanna with no pressure at all from the 22 of Michael Blackner, about a 4 to 5 car length advantage as these guys, as you can see over the course of the long run here, past the 50 lap mark, 54 up on the board. You know, the handling on these race cars has certainly gone away. Guys slip sliding all over this 3/4 mile track, looking further back in the field. Adam Maddox currently running the number 94 in that fifth spot. He's got a healthy little advantage there over David Knowles in the number 92. The 91 of Jerry Stone is back there as well. That may be the best race on the racetrack. Those guys racing for about the sixth spot, but nothing really as far as, you know, side-by-side action or in risk of losing positions. These cars is, you know, all the grip in the forward bite is going top. These guys all have their hands full, and it shows the skill set of every one of these drivers out there, especially the guys up to the front of the field, the Royce Scavanos, the John Adams of the world. But Richmond's always, you know, a hard racetrack, a very rhythm racetrack, a place really, really hard. Takes a lot of practice to really hit it here at Richmond, and it just shows the skill level. These guys out here running this super late model series, they certainly showed us some of the cleanest racing I think I've ever seen, and just a testament to the skill of these guys, the cleanliness, and just some really, really good drivers out here.
Yeah, definitely a lot of good drivers out there on the field, and the best way to describe these guys right now, you know, because their setups are pretty much going away. Like I said, no rear grip, but it looks like that these guys are going sideways, and it looks like a dirt style race here for these guys on asphalt. Yeah, that's never a good thing to see them go sideways, because you're not obviously going forward, but they're able to hang on to it, and that goes to show you the talent that these guys have, even in making their setups. You know, I give them kudos. Making setups is not easy. Is definitely not the easiest thing in the world to do. It takes a lot of time, and it's awful time consuming for these guys to be able to make these setups. So, you know, some of the guys can make it real quick and an ease. I know I've spent hours on setups before, hours, and just to be in a mid-pack car.
You spend hours and hours to be a mid-pack car, then you get some hack like me, Todd, coming in and be like, man, give me your setup, let me use your setup. And you know, being my teammate, you're always one to go, oh, well, I kind of can't say no. But, you know, it just shows when you put all the time, the heart, the blood, the sweat, and the tears into making one of these things go fast, you almost don't want to share it. You don't want to give it up. And you look out there, you see guys like Royce Scavano. Everybody's going to want that hot setup. He's just clicking laps here at Richmond. I mean, I haven't seen that car even break loose out of shape one time. That's 76, Todd. Even as we approach the halfway mark, that car's still on a rail. John Adams able to creep that Chevrolet in, run that interval down a little bit, but it seems like there's really going to be no pressure to the 76 here before these guys come in and make that one pit stop and put the adjustments into these race cars.
Yeah, it's just interesting to see Scribano, how he's been able to hold on to that car, and how that setup is able to run here in this long going. John Adams is loose, but I think he's not that far away from being able to run just like Scribano and be able to mirror him. He's running pretty quick still, able to close into about 10 car lengths, 11 car lengths between Scribano and Adams. So these guys put on a whale of a show up to the front. I'm waiting for pit stops to come up here, Phil. I want to see what kind of adjustments these guys do make, and see how much faster they do get towards the end of this.
And you can just hear these guys screaming, is it time to pit yet? Are we to halfway? I do not want to have to pit more than one time here at Richmond. I mean, it certainly feels like we're going to stay almost caution-free once again here tonight. These guys all stretched out all over the racetrack, a lot of distance between them all. So if your guys running back there in that third spot, like a Brody Hanna, like a Michael Blackner, I mean, you've got almost half a racetrack between yourselves and our race leaders. You just got to be down there screaming and cursing in your race car, Joe Allen. I want to come to pit road, put the adjustments on, get these fresh tires, and I want to go back to town. It just shows you the kind of patience and just a sure will and determination you use as a race car driver when you're at a place like Richmond. You just tick off the pace, kind of like these guys are.
Oh, yeah, and as you said, these guys are waiting for that halfway mark, so they know they only have to make one pit stop. And when we get close to when that pit window opens, the race then is going to turn into who can get on pit road first within their pit window, because at that point, it's going to come down to how long the leaders stay out and how long they allow those fresher tires to take advantage of their older tires. So you don't necessarily want to be the first on pit road, but you certainly do not want to be the last on pit road, staying out there 5 or 6 laps longer than maybe guys that came in first and have those fresher tires over you, because that's a lot of time that you can lose. And we've seen a lot of guys make that mistake over several of our broadcasts between either iRacing or NR 2003 over the last couple of weeks.
We certainly saw that. The difference last week at Stafford between tire wear with these late models. If you go out there and run them and run all the goodie off of it, can really make for a long evening, a long race. You see guys like Adam Maddox now, I believe he just got into the outside wall going through 3 and 4. So maybe a right front down on the 94, as that thing was creeping really slow through 3 and 4. But said we're approaching halfway, Todd. We're going to put 70 laps on the board next time around. So the pit window for these guys may be open soon. You got to think the guys like Adam Edwards and stuff that have pitted here a little sooner, they're going to have to make one more extra stop. Sure, you make up that that ground on those fresh tires when they come to pit road, but one stop versus 2, you give up an awful lot of time on the racetrack here, Richmond.
Yeah, definitely get an awful lot of time up on the racetrack. I'm watching Adam Maddox. He's down on pit road there, Phil. He's getting service to his car. He slipped through the field here rather quickly in that number 94 machine. He just took 4 tires on that number 94 machine. He's going to be down and away. So Adam Maddox lost another position, but he's in 8th. But he's got those fresh tires, so watch out for Adam Maddox.
He'll be the fastest car on the racetrack with those fresher tires when he comes out. We'll update where he clocks in as these guys continue to click off laps. 71 on the board, but look at the run for Royce Scavano coming in tonight as our series point leader. See if I can get the points pulled up here just off to my right so I can update everybody out there what's going on with the series. Royce Scavano coming in tonight, 135 markers, I believe. I got the right tally in front of me. Yeah, and over Brody Hanna, who scored 104 points. So 31 markers here, but being a double points night, those 4 can change on a dial. If Royce Scavano were to have any kind of trouble whatsoever, Brody can maintain his running up there in the tops 2 or 3. It may be enough here with double points to give Brody a championship. But Royce not only, Todd, wanting to win that championship here tonight, what better way to celebrate a championship is heading into victory lane and doing it here on Full Velocity. He's halfway home in that quest, 75 laps on the board next time around.
Yeah, 75 laps next time around. And Royce Scavano, I tell you, just to win the championship is a feat in itself, but to put an exclamation point on it and put himself into victory lane for the 6th time there, Phil, that's really good for a season there.
No, it certainly is, and we can update the second position battle. John Adams has brought the number 84 Chevrolet to the attention of his pit crew. 4 tires going to go on that Chevrolet. So as we say, they get to that magic window, 75 laps, halfway home. These guys screaming for tires. Well, he came right in at the halfway marker. So the 84 of John Adams, he's down and away. He was our pole sitter. He was runner up here through these last 25, 30 laps. He's going to have the fresh rubber on. The question is, when does Royce Scavano come to pit road, Todd? I think he's done just that.
Yeah, indeed. I believe Royce Scavano down on pit road did not want to give up too much time to fresh tires, trying to get down to here. Is Scavano coming down? No, maybe he's not there, Phil. I'm not sure what happened there. He must have came down on pit road. He's been down on pit road, and I missed it. I don't know how I missed that.
I believe, looking back through the replay, he came down and took 4 tires, as just did Brody Hanna. He's come down and taken 4 fresh tires. So work being all done to our race leaders. Michael Blackner also taking 4. Last 2 drivers that have yet to come to pit road, I'll have to keep an eye on. The 92 of David Knowles, the 91 of Jerry Stone. You got to imagine those guys before too long are probably going to end up on pit road. So I'll have to keep an eye on that. I believe the 91, our race leader, has surrendered to pit road.
Yep, 91 down on pit road. Jerry Stone down on pit road trying to get service to his car. You're looking at this right side. It looks like he's flirted with the wall quite a bit. As Jerry Stone is, his right side is pretty damaged. It looks like they're going to fix it a little bit here on his pit stop. Put a little bit of barrel bond and everything else. It almost makes it look like a new car. As Jerry Stone down there on pit road. He's finally going to get going with that number 91 machine. He's down and away.
All right, just looking at the 92 of David Knowles, he is yet to come to pit road. He's currently scored out there as our current race leader. Last time around, he turned a 21.935 versus, the guys that have come in and taken the fresher tires. We look at Royce Cavano last time around, 21.17. So you can just hear the difference. Almost a full second. That is, nothing small here at Richmond. Sub 22 laps. You get those fresh tires on, making up 1 second a lap. You'll cut off intervals in no time. David Knowles sliding up the racetrack. He's got, those older tires on yet to come, but the only car currently scored on the lead lap just shows you what using that strategy is doing. You got to think he's going to be hoping for a caution flag and maybe trap these guys down 1 lap down. He's losing a lot of time.
Yeah, definitely losing a lot of time out there on the speedway. So it's interesting to see a lot of these guys there, Phil, and the different strategies that has happened here this evening. And I've been waiting for scoring and timing to reset there. Excuse me. Is looking at David Knowles and just looking at all the damage that's been done to some of these cars. So, man, some of these guys just been pounding the outside wall and that right front. That's got to take a beating. You look at Scrivano's car and you look at Adams' car. They look good. They haven't been beating down the walls, but sometimes when you get later into the run, you just got that push and you can't get it out of there.
Well, going back to all the experience I've done at Richmond, and mainly a lot of it has been in NASCAR racing 2 on 3. I don't think I've taken more than a lap or two here at Richmond here in iRacing, but just knowing the way the track characteristically would run, if I was out there making a setup lead, like these guys do, I would go out there and practice and, intentionally put my car on the outside wall and wrinkle it up and try to figure out how it handled there and make it better handling with a little bit of damage, knowing that I'm probably going to overrun it a little bit, knowing I'm going to get that tire hot, knowing that wall flattens out off the exit of turn number 2, and you're probably going to make contact and ruin the right side of the race car. So how much do you think that's coming to the back of these guys' mind, Todd, making these setups tonight? I've always erred on the side of knowing I'm going to take that right side off of my car. I want to figure out how it's going to adjust, between having no damage and having damage on it. And I'm going to figure out, knowing full well ahead of time what adjustment I had built in, knowing I'm probably going to have damage to that right side.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things when you're making a setup. It's something that I have to agree with you, Phil. You want to beat down the side of your car just to see how it's going to handle. Maybe it's one of those things that it may help you. It may help you in the long run. It may loosen something up. Cross weights may do something different. But you want to try every different kind of scenario when you're making a setup. Whether the track's going to have a lot of marbles on it, or it's going to slick up on you, or whether the rubber's down. You try to get as many scenarios as you can when you're making a setup, so that way you can make those adjustments and go from there.
I know, Joe, as a guy I know who likes no scratches on your car, everything always has to be pristine and neat, and not going to go as far as saying the word prima donna, but you're a guy out there who never has any scratches on your race cars. You race them aggressive, but you're very clean. How do you feel about that approach to what our slow old timers do, going down there and doing these setups with a little bit of damage on them, knowing they're going to affect the difference of the way these things handle?
Well, I think all you guys are doing is selling yourself short. I mean, you're going down there, and what happens if you guys get into a race and you never damage the race car? I mean, it's going to be a completely different handling setup and a different handling car depending on the situation and the scenario that you put yourself into. I always go out there, open setup or not, with the intention of keeping the fenders on it clean and not having to worry about something like that happening. And if I have to make some adjustments to counteract something like that, if it does happen, then I'll do it then. But I would much rather build my setup for speed with a clean race car than try to play catch up, because essentially what you're doing is you're trying to manipulate the setup to not run as fast as it can, because you're building it based off of running a car with damage, and that could have negative effects on how it handles if you keep a clean race car for the entire race. And you could actually end up taking away speed from your setup later on in the event, or for however long you manage to keep the fenders clean on it, and it could actually play a disadvantage to you. So I mean, that's the first time I've heard of you guys, or anybody for that matter, doing something like that, which is a little puzzling. But, I mean, hey, if that's what some people have to do, that's what they have to do. I've never done it personally. I don't know that I would start doing it either.
Man, that right there is a sign of wisdom, youth, guy who runs up front, wins races, and you got, the has-been and the never was that stay up here in the broadcast booth. Probably the safest place for old Phil Lacasse and Todd Stanton to be here out at Full Throttle Sim Racing tonight. Championship night, double points night for the FTSR Super Late Model Series. 150 laps around the Richmond International Raceway. Hope you guys are out there enjoying the ultimate esport experience known as the Full Velocity Network. Find us at our website, fullvelocitynetwork.com. Book your date now. We'd love to come over and showcase all the great racing you're doing. If it's here in iRacing, which of course we'd love to do more, you're going to see a lot more from us here in this community. Of course, we buttered our bread for many years in the NASCAR Racing 3 scene. We'll go out there and do iRacing, R-Factor, Automobile Beast, Project Cars, whatever you're racing out there. If you'd like us to display it, get a hold of us at the Full Velocity Network website and book your date now. We'd love to showcase all you've got going on, just like the Super Late Models are doing here. The Richmond 150 tonight, championship night, and so far for our point leader, Royce Scavano, so far so good. Currently running in that second spot. He's starting to chase down our race leader, the number 92 of David Knowles, who Todd has yet to come to pit road. I can't believe the 92 has stayed out there as long as he has, and he's maintained rather well.
Yeah, he's definitely maintained rather well. I couldn't believe it myself as he's out there just logging laps in that number 92 machine, and he ran a 22.097 last time by John Adams, who's in third. It ran a 21.549. So it's interesting to see what's happened with these guys there, Phil. Those guys are wicked fast through the field, and they're able to run down these guys rather quick.
Oh, they really are. You followed the race leader with David Knowles off of turn number 2 and down the backstretch. You got that lap car, the 84 of John Adams on those fresh tires, our pole sitter. Currently third in the standings, 1 lap down, and as he comes off of turn number 4, he'll sweep under the race leader. He'll get himself back to the lead lap. So 3 cars on the lead lap. We know Scavano and Adams, they pitted here at the halfway mark, unbelievably so, almost 25 laps ago. David Knowles not yet to come in on this, on this cycle. He stayed out there on the old tires. It's 22 seconds around here, Todd. So you got to think Royce unlapped himself about 25 laps ago. He's got that interval now down to 11 seconds. So he's cut off a half a lap from the interval between Knowles and himself, and it's all the way back 10 more seconds back to John Adams. So if this thing cycles out the way I think it may over the next 50 laps, Royce Scavano may be just coasting to get another victory in the FTSR Super Late Model Series.
Yeah, definitely. As we're on lap 100, and you're just watching Royce Scavano just click off laps, log off laps. And now only this time by was 10.6. Now it is down to 10.2. So indeed, he's catching up to David Knowles in a pretty good clip. And like you said, you got John Adams back there, another 10 seconds behind Royce Scavano. So 20 seconds behind David Knowles. He did clear off more time on Knowles. So, man, I think Scavano's just got this one in the bag if they stay green flag there, Phil. I don't think John's going to have anything left for him.
No, I think that 10 seconds is going to be way, way too much time to make up on the racetrack. I mean, you just looked at the interval between them last time around. It was well over 11 seconds. So not impossible to do. You still got 50 laps of racing left to go, but you got to think those guys are on, about equal tires. So you got to think Royce Scavano going to be in that driver's seat. His interval between himself and the current race leader, David Knowles, it is now down under 9 seconds. So if this thing stays out there, if Knowles stays out any longer, you got to think Royce Scavano may catch David Knowles and maybe claim back this race lead probably in about 15 laps is my guess.
Yeah, I believe maybe about 15 laps, maybe further, about 20 laps there, Phil. I believe probably by lap 125 he should be around Knowles if he hasn't caught him already. If Knowles hasn't gone down pit road, but I don't foresee Knowles going down pit road. I think he's going to try to go the rest of the way with that number 92 machine. I'm not sure where the fuel mileage was. I was paying attention to it a little bit, and it kind of got skewed up with some of the numbers here. But like I said, I know tires is pretty important around Richmond International Raceway, and these guys have been wearing the tires out pretty good. It's all a question of who saved more. I mean, we're looking at Scavano right now, current race leader, 8 seconds behind, and then you got still 18 seconds behind is John Adams. So he's clicking off time too, and Adams and Scavano running about identical lap times.
And also, they can keep in mind, Joe, with the open setups here tonight, one of the great things at iRacing, you can customize the load of fuel you put in these race cars. Maybe a guy like David Knowles thinking he may just try to make this race from green to checker without coming to pit road. You have the ability in iRacing to put as much fuel into these cells as you can, versus these guys who may have elected to take the strategy of wanting to go with fresher tires about midway, and those guys can take the benefit of taking, less fuel load, lighten up that car, and, ultimately in the long run, going to make those cars faster. So I think it's really cool. You can see different strategies played out.
Yeah, absolutely, and that might be exactly what David Knowles did. Is he probably built his setup to carry the entire fuel capacity. I don't know if these cars can go 150 laps, but maybe they can, and if that's the case, that's probably exactly what he did. I'm just afraid that with the way the strategy worked out, I mean, we see Royce Gravano and John Adams both just running him down at a blistering pace with those new tires. I think in order to have had a better shot at this strategy, David Knowles had to run up towards the front, and the problem is he was running back there in the 6th or 7th position, nearly 13 seconds off the race lead by the time these guys had made their pit stops. He really should have tried to stay up towards the front of the field with these guys to at least, keep the gap within a manageable distance, and it probably would have made this a lot closer finish than what we're most likely going to see towards the end of this thing, pending any cautions.
All right, and these laps starting to click off now, 110. So good old-fashioned Monday night 40-lap shootout going on at Richmond. The question is now if David Knowles is going to be on that strategy of not coming to pit road. Can he bank on racing for a win here with 40 laps to go? Royce Gravano, Todd, he's cut the interval under 6 seconds, and that gap is just continuing to close there as David Knowles is working his way through lap traffic now off of turn number 2 down the back straightaway.
Now let's put this into this site. As he was working through lap traffic last time by, he ran a 22.230 to David E. Knowles in that number 92 machine. So now we're going to go back to Royce Scrivano, and Scrivano ran a 21.828. That's a blistering lap. Just got to remember though that Knowles was in lap traffic, so he probably lost about a second off that time that he had. But he's still in the high 22, so or about half a second off that in the lap traffic. So he's quite a bit slower. I don't think he's going to be able to hold on. Like I said, about lap 125, you're going to see that pass, Phil.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. That's going to be in about 12 laps from now, about 10 laps from now. As the interval, it stabilized. It's not, reducing at the rate I thought it would. It was 5.3 lap ago. It is down to 5.1. So if he can continue to click off about 0.2 of a second a lap, that's still about, a good 25 laps, even maybe 30. So 114, call it 115 on the board this time around. 35 laps to go. If the interval continues to stabilize anymore, who knows, Todd? Catching a guy is one thing. Passing him is another, and having to work, the benefit of lap traffic like Royce is going to have to do now, that may be just a distracting factor that David Knowles is banking on. So his chance to win may not be totally diminished here as Royce now has cut that interval down under 5 seconds. So consistent there, about 0.2 of a second a lap. If it stays at that clip, he'll catch him there with about 5 or 8 laps to go. So this thing's going to shape up to be an awesome finish.
Yeah, indeed, it's going to. Now he's just trimmed it up from 4.8 to 4.6. Is David Knowles just trying to hang on, and he can make that car rather wide in the number 92 machine to keep Royce Scrivano behind him. Meanwhile, John Adams seems to stable just a little bit, as John Adams is still about 15 seconds back, 15.7 to be exact, of the race leader. So that puts him about 11 seconds behind Royce Scrivano. So John Adams led this race early on in the going, like quite a few laps, but right now struggling to try to catch some of these guys in the pit stop. Maybe the rust wasn't completely knocked off for Mr. John Adams.
No, I'm actually puzzled. I thought he would chase down Roy. I thought you would see the interval at least reduce a little bit, but it stayed stable. About 11 seconds between them since they came off of pit road. Almost 50 laps ago now. So, Royce definitely has his setup dialed in. John maybe didn't make those right adjustments. Can't cut into that advantage at all. And it's short tracking. You just never know. And as Joe said, I believe it was a 7-second longer pit stop for John Adams down there. So damage to the right side of the 84 may have played a hampering role here. It is a short track, but aerodynamics do play a role here at Richmond. They always have. They always will. You got to keep these fenders clean the best you can do. And you look at the interval, Todd, it's down to 4 seconds This time around, 120 laps on the board, so it's pretty consistent, about 2/10 every lap. 30 laps to go. I think Royce is going to have time. Probably about another 10 laps. He'll probably be there.
Yeah, indeed, he's going to do so. As I was thinking 125, but the interval hasn't clicked off as quickly as I was going to think it was going to. Is 3.849 last time by, so 3.583 this time by. So Scrivano is indeed, like we said, catching him. And this is the story of the race. Can Scrivano catch Knowles? That's one thing. Number two thing, can he pass Knowles? That's the hardest part. Is Knowles may be on older tires, but you're able to make your car wide. Can you hold up Scrivano and not be able to not wreck yourself, or not wreck him for that matter?
Well, we'll have to see. That interval continues to shrink as our race leader is down into turn number 3. I think he's just looking toward that line. I'm sure he can't wait to hear from his spotter that he's down to 10 laps to go. I'm sure he's peeking at the interval between himself, looking in that mirror, checking on the progress of that 76. It's certainly going to be a trying feeling there, but said his bet is made. He's going to try to do this on, going green to checker from a distance. He's got a little over 25 laps left to do so, and the interval down to 3.2 seconds. So it's not quite 0.2 of a second it's gathered into. It's about 1/10 and a half. So maybe David Knowles was onto something. Can he steal the checkered flag here? We'll find out in 25 more circuits around Richmond. It's going to be a good finish, and I'm starting to like David Knowles' chances here, Todd. The more laps that click off, the interval stays kind of consistent. David Knowles may be onto something. We know Royce will get there. The question is he going to have the race car left to pass him?
I'm not sure if he's going to have the race car left to pass him. The tires got to be starting to wear down just a little bit. But just looking through the field, we'd like to give a full field rundown here before we get into the last 25 laps of this race, and we're getting there rather quickly. David E. Knowles is your race leader, and a race leader by 2.746 seconds over Royce Scrivano. John Adams is 15 seconds back. He is the last car on the lead lap. That's the number 84 machine, Brody Hanna, running in fourth. He's one lap down in that number 62. Like I said, Michael Blackner running in fifth. He's also one lap down in that 22. Adam Maddox in the 94. He's one lap down. He's in sixth. Seventh is Jerry Stone in that number 91. Eighth is the number 4 of Richard Dempsey. He's 3 laps down. Adam Edwards is also 4 laps down in that number 16 machine. He is ninth. And rounding out your top 10, leaving the race early here, was Paul Strickland Jr.
Yeah, top 10, full field rundown sponsored by the Full Velocity Network, guys. As these laps are starting to click away now, a little under 25 laps to go. Race leader put 128 up on the board. Interval now from 2.47 seconds to 2.276. So we may have a little bit of drama through these last 30 laps. Royce Scrivano continues to chase down the interval, but it's kind of stabilized a little more than I even thought it would. David Knowles has a legit shot of finding his way to victory lane, so keep an eye on that. Brody Hanna out to the inside of the David Knowles machine. So Brody Hanna, he pitted around halfway like everybody else, has those fresher tires. Maybe not a great equalizer now, but he'll unlap himself, racing for a championship here tonight. Move Brody Hanna back to the lead lap, currently in that 4th position, but David Knowles, Todd, continuing to click off laps. 20 laps to go at the line. Interval this time around, 1.59 seconds. It picked up 0.4 of a second with that, having to deal with the 62. So he lost time there. Royce Scrivano in about 5 laps. He may be all over the back bumper.
Yeah, 1.5 seconds. I believe Royce Scrivano lost a bunch of time that time, as he was 1.591. Let's see this time by what's happened. 1.882, racing a lap car, I believe was what you're saying, Phil?
Yeah, he's got his hands full with 22 of Michael Blackner. Michael put up quite the fight off of turn number 2 in, even through the next corner, 3 and 4. Royce Scrivano able to make clear of that lap car now, but as Joe said in my ear, the interval grew from 1.5 to 1.882, and I think Todd also made mention of that as well. Let's see where that stables off at the line. 1.8 seconds, 18 laps to go. He's going to have maybe a little bit of clear racetrack now between himself and the race leader. The question is, does he have enough time here with 17 laps to go? Can he chase down David Knowles? Can he get to his back bumper? And can he complete that pass? This thing's shaping up to be an awesome finish there, Todd. Through 1 and 2, 1.75 seconds. So now Royce is only chasing him down about 1/10 of a second a lap. how much do you think chasing down and racing those lap cars, how much do you think those may have damaged Royce's tires?
I don't think Royce might not be able to do it there, Phil. David Knowles is able to hold on, and like you said, 1.750 now down to 1.621. I don't think that's quite enough. As we're sitting there with that number 92 machine of Knowles, he's right running behind Brody Hanna and the number 62 Bojangles sponsor machine, and that's, he's on the tail of the lead lap. I don't think Royce Scrivano, I don't want to rule him out. 1.6, 1.5. He might be able to do it, Phil. He's going to be able to catch him, I believe, but I don't think he may not be able to pass him now.
Wow, there's 15 laps remaining. This is going to definitely shape up to be a dramatic closing 15 laps as they work their way now off of turn number 3 and 4. Put 136 up at the line. David Knowles still has that lead. Updating the interval there, it was 1.5. It stays at now 1.347. So he's starting to knock that down a little more. Call it about 15 car lengths, Todd, as they hit turn 3.
Yeah, you're gonna have to see. His lap car getting close. See what's gonna happen. That 1.347 seconds last time by. This time by 1.269. Not a lot of time knocked off that time, Phil, from Royce Scrivano to David Knowles, and it's gonna be interesting to see what Scrivano's going to indeed do is he's trying to chase him down. Looks like the lap car, the number 91 machine of Jerry Stone, a little bit faster than per se the 76 right now. He's on fresher tires, and here he goes down to the bottom side of Scrivano. That's going to indeed make him lose some time.
Oh, he certainly is. Jerry Stone, that lap car going to go around the 76. Royce almost got to the outside wall, but as you said, as that's happening, he's losing precious time. Look at the paint schemes between the 92 and number 91 of Jerry Stone, Todd. Could those actually be teammates out there? Familiar-looking race cars. It's also the same paint job as Royce, it looks like. So, I don't know, 91, he's still racing hard off the lead lap, but, it grew that interval. It put a lap car between, our two race leaders, and the interval will stabilize these last couple of laps at 1.3 seconds. Next time around, 10 laps remaining. David Knowles may indeed just pull this off, and he does. Hats off to him. What an awesome call.
He's going to have the call for the ages there in that number 92 machine. It's going to be one of those strategy calls that I didn't see coming, Phil, and I know you guys didn't see coming aboard that number 92 machine. Like you said, 1.316 to back to Scrivano. He has to deal with Brody Hanna. He gets back around Brody Hanna, putting him back one lap down again. Now it's down to 1.118. So Scrivano's starting to catch him again, and now Scrivano is going to be stuck behind two lap cars.
Yeah, Brody Hanna going to move to the outside of the racetrack, allow that number 76 of Royce Scrivano around. So he's still got one more lap car between himself and the race leader, Jerry Stone there. Obviously looking like he's got better tire on that car. Looks like he's starting to chase down, our race leader David Knowles a little bit. Royce is starting to cut into the interval as well, down to precious car lengths. Now another lap car coming into the fray. The Richard Dempsey machine, the number 4, he'll slide up the racetrack. He'll let race leader David Knowles go to the low side to turn number 1. David able to still hug that low side, washing up a little bit. Royce Scrivano now to the low side of the 91. This thing that may not be over yet. Here comes that runner-up position. Royce Scrivano on the move. It's down. He's around the 91. If he can clear that 4, Todd, it may be clear sailing. We're going to have 5 laps to go at the line. I can't believe what we got here going on for a finish.
Yeah, he lost a little bit of time there, 0.909 now, 0.988, almost a full second now between Knowles and Scrivano, but Scrivano now has in his sights a couple of lap cars in front of him, and now he's able to get around the number 4 machine. He got around a couple of lap cars. Now Scrivano in clean air. Can he chase down David Knowles here? He's got about 5 laps to do that in.
Yeah, 5 laps remaining, 5 more trips around the 3/4 mile action track, Richmond International Raceway. The race leaders off turn number 2, down the backstretch toward turn number 3. Called at about 8 car lengths. That interval is closing there, Todd. Here comes Royce Scrivano. It's about 6 car lengths. That interval is shrunk there. Royce Scrivano is there with that clean air. We got a battle shaping up in the closing laps. The race lead is hot and heavy now off of turn number 2. Call that 5 car lengths at the exit of the corner.
Yeah, about 5 car lengths at the exit of the corner. Scarvano really starting to reel in that number 892 machine of David Knowles. Knowles last time by 0.734. Knowles drifts up the track just a little bit more. He's going to give up some more time down to 0.334. That's about 2.5 car lengths, Phil.
2.5 car lengths, and now down to about 2 car lengths off the exit of the corner. It is safe to say he is there. I mean, we got a race to the win here, guys. The Richmond 150 coming down to the last precious 2 laps. It has been a clean and green race for the second consecutive week. These guys giving us caution-free racing over at FTSR. Awesome racing on the short tracks. Next week, we roll to Talladega with their brand new Super Truck Series going to happen on Monday nights. But race for the lead. Knowles may be out of gas off of turn 2. The 76 of Scavano with a power move had to split himself and Brody Hanna. But with 2 to go, Todd, Royce Scavano's found himself to the lead.
Yeah, it looks like fuel has run out on that Knowles machine, and that's a tough break for him. As now Scarvano, as that was starting to heat up, I think if he had enough fuel, he was able to give Scarvano a couple of blocks and maybe be able to keep him at bay. But now Scarvano's got smooth sailing in that number 76 machine. He takes over the lead, and that's unfortunate. White flag in the air, white silk for the number 76 of Roy Scarvano, looking for his 6th win of the year and the championship over here.
Yeah, he's less than a lap away from taking the championship or the 2017 B Super Late Model season here for our friends at FT, the Full Throttle Sim Racing League. Off of turn number 4, checkered flag in the air. Royce Scavano going to take the win, and bigger yet, he'll be the 2017 Season B Super Late Model Champion for FTSR. What an awesome race by these guys. What a great run by all of them indeed. David Knowles coming up short. Not only did that blow him there, the wind running out of gas, Todd, it also cost him a podium finish amongst the top 3. Royce Scavano coming home with the win. John Adams, the only car left on the lead lap 2nd. Michael Blackner will bring it home 3rd. Adam Maddox 4th, and looks like David Knowles, he may have dropped all the way back to that 5th place position there, Todd. Tough break running out of gas, but you got to make that move for the win. David gave it a shot, and that thing came up about a lap and a half short. That is a tough break, but Royce Scavano going to celebrate. He's going to burn it down on the front stretch there, doing donuts there in a cloud of smoke.
Yeah, indeed, he's going to be down there on the front straightaway. Fireworks, everything going off in the background. An amazing fireworks display here at the Richmond International Raceway. Royce Scarvano going to take down the win here tonight. Like you said, Phil, he's burning it down here on the front straightaway. And I was watching David Knowles as he's going to finish up. I believe they're going to finish him up in that 5th spot in that number 92 machine. I believe is where he's going to end up finishing as he crosses the finish line. He's a little bit out of gas, and he got a little bit of help from the 91 to give him a little bit of a boost to make sure he got across that start finish line. So again, a tough break for David Knowles. But for one other person's misfortune, it led to a race winner here, Royce Scarvano's win. So it's one of those things, Phil. It's awesome to see the racing that we had tonight. John Adams was another guy. Had a good run. He knocked off the cobwebs quite fairly decent in that number 84 machine.
No, he certainly did just that. John Adams bringing home the 2nd spot. How about the run from Michael Blackner? He'll bring that thing home in position number 3 tonight. And Todd, I believe you're going to try to run down there and catch up with the driver with 22. Kept the fenders almost for the most part clean, kept it, really consistent. And Michael Blackner, Todd, he's going to round out our field here in the top 3. A great run. Let's see if you can't talk to the driver with 22.
Indeed, I've caught up with Michael Blackner. He's had a podium finish here before with us at Full Velocity Network. Now up on the podium here, finishing 3rd here at the Richmond International Raceway. Michael, you had a car that was pretty good on the longer runs, just not quite as good as Scarvano or Adams for that matter. But you brought it home 3rd here tonight.
Yeah, thank you. We fought all week long trying to get this thing straightened out. It was loose on short runs. Did everything possible to try and tighten it up. Didn't have the speed, but I will take it at this point. I mean, I was hoping at the end there Brody would have been able to finish since him and Royce were fighting for the lead for the championship, but I'll take 3rd and can't wait to see what we have next week at Talladega for the trucks.
Yeah, that's another event that's going to be here on the Full Velocity Network. I've been looking forward to that. I've not seen iRacing on the super speedways as of yet. I got a glimpse of it earlier here, watching a race on a local stream that I actually watch all evening long. Tell us about that. Tell us about what's going to go on with that race. That's far different than what you're accustomed to racing these super late models versus on the short tracks. Now we're going to go to Talladega and a super speedway with the trucks.
I'm doing fine, gentlemen.
I can't tell you what it has in store. I mean, some of the guys that we're going to have running, I ran with years back in the days of 2K3 and the old FTSR, and I'm interested to see what happens. I've never really gotten a chance to drive the trucks at Talladega or super speedway race with them. I've done the nationwide cars, but I have no idea what's in store, but I'm looking forward to it.
Indeed, Michael, a good run here this evening at the Richmond International Raceway for you. I'm going to give the microphone. The floor is all yours. Thank whoever you'd like to thank that got here this evening.
I'd like to thank my girlfriend Shauna, my family, my friends, Quadratech for being my source for all my Jeep parts, Dodge for sponsoring my late model. I'm glad to be here, be a part of FTSR, and be able to put on a good show and have fun at the same time.
Thanks again. Great run here tonight for you, Michael, and a fantastic showing here for you over the last couple of races that we broadcasted on here. Again, congratulations on your third place finish here this evening.
Thank you.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, that's Michael Blackner in that number 22 machine. I'm going to throw it down to Phil. I believe he's caught up with John Adams down there in that second place finish. Phil, take it away.
Yeah, I absolutely have. I've caught up with the veteran, the driver of the number 84, John Adams. And John, man, you put that thing on the pole, knocked off some rust. There were some really terrific laps, but Roy Scavato, man, I mean, looks like you had the short run car, but when you guys came to pit road, took those fresh tires, I mean, Royce just checked out, man. How's that feel behind the wheel of the driver's seat, knowing you had the fastest car out there through the early part of the run and just couldn't make that key adjustment there through that long second half of that run?
Yeah, man, Royce was really fast there on the long run. This is my first time racing competitively in about 3 years. I just now installed iRacing tonight and bought the super late model. I came and raced with a lot of these old names in here like Brody Hanna, Adam Edwards, Paul Strickland, and Michael Blackner. Like I said, it's my first time back in 3 years, so I'm a little rusty. So I had a little bit of setup help, did some adjustments to it. Then I got it up there pretty quick, and I was surprised about that qualifying lap. I had no idea I was that quick, and I thought I was going to take away the race, honestly. I led the first 45 laps or so, and I just had a four-wheel slide off the turns and just couldn't hold on to it, and I just gave the lead away to Royce. But he was a rocket there after the long run for sure.
Oh, he certainly was. He's going to pick up the championship, a 5-time winner on the season. Sorry about that. Joe in my other ear. I guess Joe Allen, John, goes back with you many years as well. Said you're an old DWC driver, an old peak antifreeze driver that, also took part in the Landon Castle qualifying challenge many a times. How much is experience like that, crucial to coming in tonight after a 3-year layoff? I mean, looked like in practicing and qualifying through those first 50 laps. I mean, how much rust did you have to knock off there? Looked like you were really, really fast coming right out of the gate.
Oh, I mean, it was a lot of rust I had to knock off for sure. I had to adjust my wheel and everything like that to get back to how it used to feel forever ago. But, I mean, it's just like riding a bicycle, like a lot of people say, but then not necessarily because, I mean, so much has changed in 3 years on the setups that I'm just kind of like out of awe with it. Like I have no idea what to do with the car. I know they're going to the Truck Series next week for next season, and I'm really looking forward to that because I got a lot of experience when it comes to the trucks. But as far as like short tracks and late models, I pretty much have zero experience whatsoever. So I'm happy with where I finished at tonight. We'll just take that on to next season, and I'll be racing next season all year long, hopefully, and we'll see if we can get us a championship.
Well, you're certainly a name we're going to keep an eye on, a veteran of the iRacing community for sure, and just a sim racing veteran in general. Your name goes back many years. But before I give you the microphone to do a shout out, Joe has just been in my ear, says, John, are you going to do a NASCAR bomb here tonight?
NASCAR bomb. That's good old 2K3 days right there. That's some Gatorade with some Jack Daniels. I did come up with an iRacing bomb, though. Forgot exactly what that was. That's been forever ago, but no, tonight I might just drink me a little 12-pack of Miller Lite and then call it a night.
Well, I like that idea. Miller Lite does sound kind of good here. A 12-pack after a great caution-free race. You knock off the rust. But, John, great to talk to you. Followed your name for a long time. Joe told me a lot of stories about all the old stuff you guys did back in the day, but I'm going to give you the microphone one more time. Give a shout out to all your friends, your fans, your sponsors, anybody who helped you get that 84 back out on the racetrack tonight. Really good to see a veteran return to that sim.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I ain't really got no sponsors. Like I said, first night back, no one had any idea I was coming back. I just, came home from work and I saw that they posted a league race tonight for FTSR. I was like, oh, you know what? I might as well go ahead and spend $14, renew my subscription, go buy the super late model, and come out and race tonight. I had a blast. It actually brought back a lot of memories from 2K3 days racing with a bunch of these names in here, like I said earlier. But I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank y'all for broadcasting the race. I want to thank Brody Hanna and Brandon Elder and all the guys that brought back this league. This was my first league I ever raced in, and here I am again racing in it 10, 12 years later, however long it's been. So I want to appreciate everybody that threw this back together. And like I said, appreciate you guys for putting on the broadcast.
All right. Well, John, once again, great to talk to you, my friend. We'll talk to you. Do this again soon. And welcome back, man. Good to see you knock that rust off. I'm sure in no time at all. We'll be seeing you down there in Victory Lane. So congratulations once again there, bud.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. John Adams going to bring that thing home. The runner-up spot tonight in his return. But one other guy who's really familiar to Victory Lane here at FTRSL, especially this season, Joe, the 2017 Super Late Model Series champion, Royce Scavano's in Victory Lane with Joe Allen. Down to you, Joe.
Yes, sir, guys. Caught up here with Royce Scavano tonight. Royce, it seemed like it was a very eventful show tonight with a lot of green flag racing. Again, caution-free. That's 2 weeks in a row that we've done that with these super late models. And, it looked like John Adams had the car to beat on the short run, but you went out there on the long run, about 77, it took about 65 laps to catch him. But when you got there, it was, you set sail from there. You had the better pit stop. You spent about 7 seconds, fewer time on pit road than John did. And at that point, it was just a matter of running down that number 91 machine and catching him towards the end of the race. And looks like he came up just about 2 laps short, but hey, that's 6 wins on the year, Royce, in a pretty dominant fashion and a rather large points gap as well to claim your championship here. Tell us about your night, bud.
Hey, Joe, I appreciate the time, but it was a really eventful night. I'll tell you what, the first half of the race, trying to inch into John's lead. He had him and I only talked for a brief little bit after the race tonight. And, I'll have to look him up because he seems like a really good guy and quite the iRacer. I know he hasn't been around for a while, but it's always good to race with the top guys on here. And towards the end, I'll tell you what, it's a nail biter for us both because I really thought David was going to make it on fuel, and when he didn't quite make it, and when I didn't have a chance to come, get by him on if he had gas, it'd be quite a race. But I was bummed to see him run out.
Yeah, it was certainly shaping up to be a race to the end. It looked like with about 10 to 12 laps to go, the gap between you guys kind of settled out, and it was a matter of lap cars that was really going to play the big role. We saw you'd gotten passed by a couple lap cars that set you back, and then you'd get back by him, and he'd get passed by a lap car that would set him back, and the interval just kept fluctuating until about 4 or 5 laps to go when you were finally, it was just the two of you out front. You were starting to click off laps, and was there any point there where you thought maybe you just didn't have enough time to get back to him, or if you got to him, were you going to be able to do anything to actually get around to him if you were to, have enough fuel to make it to the end?
Sure. Well, I know David's a great, clean racer, so the two of us would have made it interesting coming to the end. It wouldn't have been anything desperate at all, but between 15 to go and 5 to go, that short window, I really thought he was going to hang on to it. So I tried to just hold the car steady as best I could, not try to overdrive it, because I knew if I did, it would be, over the edge in terms of losing control of it. So, he really did a great job saving fuel. I didn't think it was possible at all from the very beginning to save that entire amount of fuel. So he probably saved maybe 30 laps worth over the course of a 150 lap race. So props to him for that.
Yeah, it was certainly a differing strategy to go out there and do it on a no-stop race, and he almost stole one from you. But Royce, congratulations on getting a win here on the Full Velocity Network. As always, as the same with last week, I'll give you the floor real quick. If you have any teammates, any sponsors, any friends or family that may watch this back when it's archived, the floor is all yours, buddy.
Sure. Well, firstly, I want to thank you guys for putting this on. It's always great to watch the playback of the Full Velocity Network on YouTube to be able to show off to family and friends. And It's good to talk to you, Joe. You guys were really spot on with all your coverage. I really do appreciate it. I do want to thank the team that I'm with, Sim Racing Short Trackers. They're not just an awesome team, but they really run a really great league for any Legends drivers, late model, super late model drivers, street stockers. So if anybody's interested, feel free to reach out to Adam, who was in the race tonight, Adam Maddox, and he'll get you set up there. But this league is incredible. I'm really glad that I had the chance to meet Brody and for him to invite me. So thank you to him as well.
All right, Royce. Well, congratulations again from all of us here at the Full Velocity Network. Thank you for the shout out plug from all of us here. That's awesome, and hopefully we look forward to seeing you and your teammates out here next week. They're debuting that new truck series, and they'll be at Talladega. So hopefully we see you and a couple more familiar faces for the coming weeks as well.
Hey, I appreciate it. I look forward to it. Thanks, Joe.
All right, guys. That's our race winner here tonight, Royce Gravano, taking down win number 6 of the season for the super late models in a pretty dominant fashion and a rather large point gap fill. That's arguably probably one of the best short track racers in there. I mean, the fact that they have short track racing in their team name says enough about Royce and Adam and the rest of those guys that are all together down on that team.
Yeah, it certainly does, and it shows the strength of what they've done here the last couple of weeks on the short tracks. But Todd Stanton, as we look forward, we shift gears. The memories that you and I have made over the years, and even Joe as he came into the fold at the Talladega Super Speedway, I know we've had some fun over there, made a lot of memories, created a lot of carnage, and I know Joe is invested, and I think we're going to see the Full Velocity semi-rig make its return next Sunday night at FTF. I know he's got that thing all clearly refurbed. We know what happened with a van once upon a time. Do you think that was the wisest of moves for Joe as we return to our old stopping grounds at Talladega for a little residency this week? You ready to go home?
Well, I indeed am. I enjoy the racing there. We've seen a lot of good racing over the years at Talladega, whether it's NASCAR 2003. This will be my first iRacing experience actually watching the race. I'm actually going to try to get some on-track experience here this week because it is Talladega and iRacing. So I'm going to try to get some on-track experience with that and also some dirt experience also. But it's going to be interesting to see what's going to go on with FTF. That's going to be a barn burner. I tell you what, if anybody's going to come out of the woodwork, it's going to be FTF there this Sunday night. They usually get a full field, and they usually have qualifying races for those super speedways because they put on a whale of a show usually over there.
Yeah, the next race for us, as Todd said, we return back to FTF this coming Sunday night, continuing on with the FTF Jones Cup Series playoffs there. Sunday night, 8:30 airtime. And Todd, this will make you hungry too. These guys, I think, know us. The Doritos 500K powered by Mountain Dew at the Talladega Super Speedway. These guys is making me Jones with some Doritos and some extra dew here. So airtime 8:30, and of course, back here with FTSR 1 week from tonight, debuting the VPM Truck Series, making their debut, race number 1 at the Talladega Super Speedway. So we'll be at Talladega all next week. And of course, our full schedule located at our website, fullvelocitynetwork.com. So until next week, for Joe Allen down in the control booth, Todd Stanton, my longtime broadcast partner alongside, my name is Phil Lacasse. Thank you for being part of the ultimate esport experience tonight, live on the Full Velocity Network. Equivalently the best out there in sim race broadcast. We'll see you next time, and a very pleasant good night, and we'll see you again.